Hello students. Today we discuss the topic simple pendulum. So what is a simple pendulum? A simple pendulum consists of a spherical object which is made up of a metal which is called a bob that is tied with a string and suspended from a fixed support. So this is a spherical object or a metallic board. It is a metallic board. So the name of this metallic board is bob. It is called a bob. Then it has a hook. A string is tied at the hook and it is suspended from a fixed support. It is suspended from a fixed support. So once again listen. So a metallic board which is called a bob tied with a string and suspended from a fixed support. This is called a simple pendulum. So when a pendulum is not oscillating, that time this position is called mean position. So this is its mean position. Now we see some of the terms related with a simple pendulum. Effective length. So effective length is the distance between the point of suspension. This is the point of suspension and the center of gravity of the bob. So effective length is the distance between point of suspension and the center of gravity of the bob. That is called effective length. Now the next term is oscillation. So when this bob is disturbed from its mean position, when it is disturbed from its mean position, it starts to move on either side. So moving on either side. Suppose at first it is taken, this mean position is marked as A and this extreme left position is marked as B and extreme right position is marked as C. So mean position is marked as A, extreme left position is taken as B and extreme right position is taken as C. Suppose that we take this bob to the left extreme, then we leave it. So we leave it, then it goes to the right side, then comes back. For example, this one. So we take this one to the left side. This is a mean position. This is called a mean position. Take it to this side, then leave it. It goes to the other extreme and comes to the left side. So that time only one oscillation. So one oscillation means it goes from B to C, then comes back from C to B. So that is one oscillation. Suppose that starting from B goes to the other side and then comes back. That is one oscillation. So one complete to and fro motion. That is one oscillation. So suppose I am taking here, then going here and coming back. this way to and from, this one, this to and from motion. This to and from motion is called oscillation. Now this pendulum is oscillating to and from motion. This is called oscillation. So one oscillation means when we start from the left side, goes to the right side and then comes to the left side. That is one oscillation. One complete to and from motion. That is one oscillation. Then the next term is oscillation. I have told you what is oscillation. Then time period. Time period. Time period is the time taken to complete one oscillation. Time taken to complete one oscillation is called the time period. The unit of SI unit of time period is second. Now the next term is frequency. Frequency. The number of oscillations in 1 second. The number of oscillations taken place in number of oscillations taking place in 1 second is called frequency. The SI unit of frequency is hertz. Suppose the frequency of an object is 10 hertz. It means that in 1 second it oscillates 10 times. So there is a relation between time period and frequency. That is, time period is equal to 1 upon frequency. So these are then amplitude. Amplitude. Another term. Amplitude. The maximum displacement of the bob from its mean position. That is called amplitude. For example, suppose that this is this one simple pendulum. Then this is a mean position. This is mean position. From this position it comes maximum up to this much. So this is the amplitude. Then from here maximum, suppose that it reaches up to here. This is the amplitude. The maximum displacement of the bob from its mean position, that is called amplitude. The maximum displacement of a vibrating particle from its mean position is called amplitude. The SI unit of amplitude is meter. Now, experimentally, how do we find the time period of a simple pendulum? So, we use a stopwatch. So, when I start oscillating, when I start to make this pendulum to oscillate, that is 0th second, then that time we will start the stopwatch. We will make it to oscillate for 10 times. Then for 10 oscillation, how much time taken we will calculate. So we are going to start the experiment. Okay. Starting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So for 10 oscillations, 11 seconds is taken. For 10 oscillation, 11 seconds is taken. So, what is the time period? So, for 10 oscillation, 11 seconds is taken. So, time period is 11 upon 10 equal to 1.1 second. 1.1 second. Now, I have increased the effective length. So, what is the effect of length on time period, that we are going to see? I have slightly increased the effective length. We are going to do the experiment. Starting. Start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now you can see for 10 oscillations, 16 seconds is taken. So what is the time taken for 10 oscillation is 16 seconds. So what is the time period? The time period is equal to 16 upon 10 is equal to 1.6 seconds. So from this, what do you understand from this? From this, you can understand that time period is directly proportional to length. The time period is directly proportional to square root of length. This is one of the factors affecting the time period. Time period is directly proportional to square root of effective length. As the time period increases, as the effective length increases, time period also increases. As the effective length increases, time period also increases. Now the next factor is acceleration due to gravity. Acceleration due to gravity. Time period is inversely proportional to acceleration due to gravity. The time period is inversely proportional to square root of acceleration due to gravity. These are the only two factors affecting the time period. One is effective length, directly proportional to square root of effective length. Another factor is acceleration due to gravity. Time period is inversely proportional to square root of acceleration due to gravity. On combining these two, we get time period is proportional to square root of L upon G. Then for removing this proportionality sign, we multiply with a constant. Then we get it as T is equal to 2 pi into square root of L by G. 2 pi is a constant. For removing the proportionality sign, it is multiplied with a constant. Constant is 2 pi. 2 pi into square root of L by G. So this is the formula to find the time period. If we have to remove this square root sign, both sides are squared with both sides we are squaring, then we will get it T squared is equal to 4 pi squared into L by G. So here we can, so from this formula also can be used. We can make L as the subject. If we make L as the subject, then it will come L is equal to T squared G upon 4 pi square. Okay, this is the formula. See this table. This table shows the relationship between effective length and time period. When the effective length is 80 centimeter, effective length is 80 centimeter means distance between point of suspension and center of gravity of the bomb is 80 centimeter. That time, for 10 oscillations, it takes 18 seconds, or time period is 1.8 second. Time period is 1.8 second means for completing one oscillation, it takes 1.8 second. Now we are changing the effective length to 90 centimeter. When the effective length is 90 centimeter, time period is 1.91 second. In this case, for 10 oscillations, it will take 19.1 second. So then, we again change the effective length to 100 centimeter. When the effective length is 100 centimeter, the time period is 2 seconds. For this is a special case. For this one, a special name is given. So special name is given for this pendulum of effective length 100 centimeter. Name is seconds pendulum. Seconds pendulum. So seconds pendulum is a pendulum. Seconds pendulum is a pendulum whose time period is equal to 2 seconds. Seconds pendulum is a pendulum whose time period is equal to 2 seconds. And effective length of a seconds pendulum is 100 centimeter or 1 meter. This is important. What is a seconds pendulum and what is the effective length of seconds pendulum? Then again we increase the length. When we increase the length to 110, time period also increases. Again on increasing the length, again the time period increases. So this shows that time period increases with the effective length. And if you draw a graph by taking time along the x-axis and square root of length along the y-axis, so this is the time, and is square root of effective length is square root of 80, square root of 90 and all. That is taken along the y-axis. These values are marked here. Then we get a graph as a straight line. Graph is a straight line. You can see this is a straight line inclined to the time axis. So, if we take a time along the x-axis and square root of length along the y-axis, and by using the values, if we draw a graph, we get a straight line inclined to the time axis. So this is the graph. So time period of a pendulum depends only on its effective length and acceleration due to gravity. Time period does not depend upon the shape of the bob. Whatever be the shape of the bob, it does not affect the time period. So, time period does not depend upon the shape of the bob, mass of the bob. So, time period is not affected by the mass of the bob and also the material used. So, time period depends only on the effective length and acceleration due to gravity. So this is about a simple pendulum. The main points of simple pendulum. What is a simple pendulum? Then definitions of the terms related with the simple pendulum. That is effective length, time period, amplitude, etc. Okay. Then what is a seconds pendulum? What is a seconds pendulum? Then what is the effective length of the second pendulum? So these are the main points. Now there is a question. Compare the time periods of two pendulums whose effective lengths are 64 centimeter and 256 centimeter. Effective length 64 centimeter and 256 centimeter. So we have to compare the time period. You know the formula to find time period. Time period is equal to square root of effective length. So time period of first pendulum is taken as T1 and second pendulum is taken as a T2. Then T1 upon T2, it will come square root of L1 by L2. So that is equal to square root of 64 divided by square root of 256. Square root of 64 is 8 and square root of 256 is 12. 12 not 16. Then 8 and 16 we got 1 upon 2. So this ratio T1 ratio T2 is 1:2. This is the relationship. This is the relation of time period between these two pendulums. 1:2. The next class we will discuss another topic.